So the next one I'm gonna review is a Korean movie with it's also like French a little bit too. It's called Return to Seoul, and it's about a 25-year-old French woman who returns to Korea, the country she was born, before being adopted by a French couple for the very first time. She is wants to track down her biological parents, but it's kind of like a strange journey to get there. And I was just interested in this film. It played at the Cannes Film Festival, and I had heard some pretty good things. And it stars newcomer Park Min, and she's a live wire act, right? I love her performance in this. It's hard to imagine that she's a first time actress on screen. She's just really, really good. The story like takes her to Korea, where she's kind of like wanting to find her birth parents, and throughout the entire movie, you're seeing like how them not being in her life had effects on her life, from maybe what she ultimately decides to do and how she lives her life. It's even though she had a loving family, adoption family in France, she just there's a part of her that's missing, with missing her parents, and she hopes to find them and gain some kind of understanding by returning to Seoul and South Korea and finding them. Otherwise, I think other than her performance, though, I think the movie's just like okay. It goes to some really strange places, and definitely takes on elements of French New Wave film for sure. But I don't exactly think that I loved those sections. I think it also goes on a little too long. I think that's a complaint that I've seen a lot of people have about the movie, but I honestly don't know what you'd trim. That's the other part that I thought was the problem of it. It's like, yeah, it's a long movie, but I think that a lot of its material is earned, and you just have to see what happens. It's like from the beginning, our protagonist, Frederic is like trying to find her father, and like just that relationship and how adoption worked in Korea is kind of crazy. And it's explained early that like the adoption agency can only send like postcards to the parents, and they choose to like respond to get in contact, and if they don't want to, then that's where the road ends, right? They're not allowed to give out the addresses or anything, and it's just kind of crazy. I didn't know what I was expecting from the movie, but I would still recommend it. Like, I don't think it's a miss. I think the lead performance is well worth checking it out for, and I think that one's going to be released by Sony Pictures Classic, but I'm not sure when you'll be able to check it out if you'd like to. Maybe I'll find that out by the next podcast. The next one is a biggie, right? It's the new Netflix film Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery, and it's funny when the movie starts, it's just clearly called Glass Out. The Knives Out mystery part of it is only for marketing materials to let people know what exactly world this film exists in, and it's was made after Netflix purchased the rights to make the next two films in the Knives Out series, the Glass Onion and another one to come at a later date. And returning to the lead role is Detective Benoit Blanc, played by Daniel Craig, also known as his time in James Bond. And the movie's once again directed by Rian Johnson, who other than Knives Out is best known for Star Wars: The Last Jedi and Looper. And other than that returning character, there's just a lot of newbies, right? It's a whole new story. It takes place in a different place. You have characters like played by Edward Norton, Catherine Hahn, Dave Bautista, Kate Hudson. Janelle Monáe, Leslie Odom Jr., Jessica Henwick, and then a lot of other characters appear during the course of the movie. And I won't spoil too much. I'll give you the setup of the movie, right? These new characters are all delivered these invitations to visit Edward Norton, and his character Miles Braun has a annual getaway, and this time it's on an island at the exquisite Glass Onion building. Right, it's it's a building that is magnificent to look at, and what all these individuals have in common, you'll find out during the course of the movie. That's part of the fun, is to see how everyone is connected, and what exactly Daniel Craig's Benoit Blanc has to do with this mystery. And it's a lot of fun. Just like the first Knives Out was really funny, this one is also quite hilarious. There's just like, I don't think the first one had too many, but this one has so many cameos. You'll just see like numerous people show up, and some are better than others, right? But half the fun is seeing those cameos, and those, just watch out for spoilers on the internet, because not only can the actual mystery and what ultimately happens be spoiled, but also everyone that's involved in the movie, that information could be spoiled as well. So you might want to go in as blind as possible. I guess like I still really enjoy these whodunits, and I'm looking forward to the next adventure that he has in store. And I think people who really enjoyed Knives Out and who like Agatha Christie type mysteries in general will definitely like this one as well. Glass Onion is set to come out, I think, December 23rd on Netflix streaming, but I'm pretty certain it's going to have some kind of theatrical engagement. Netflix hasn't really announced its plans yet, but I think we just have to wait a little bit, and that's going to happen for sure. The last movie I wanted to review during this block of films was the new Steven Spielberg movie, The Fablemans. And this is a biggie. Steven Spielberg was there in attendance in Toronto, and he says, like, what inspired him to do this story was the pandemic, and how there was a lot of uncertainty in the world, and specifically in the film world, and he wanted to make a film that he felt like he could leave a mark with, like, certainly it's funny to hear Steven Spielberg say that, because so many of his movies have changed culture throughout the years, but I think he wanted to use an opportunity to tell his childhood story and really show what life with his parents was like on screen. And so the movie's expected in theaters around Thanksgiving on November 23rd, and it stars Michelle Williams as the cipher for his mother, because this family is called the Fablemans, and so then they're not called the Spielbergs, if you will, but for all intents and purposes, this is his life. His father is played by Paul Dano. There's his father's best friend, who's Benny, played by Seth Rogen. The cipher for Steven Spielberg is played by this. I don't know if he's a newcomer. It's just that he has a couple of credits. He was in 2018's The Predator, but his name is Gabriel LaBelle, and he plays the role of young Spielberg. Of course, there's other roles in the movie filled out for Spielberg's sisters. You also have Judd Hirsch, who gives he has a fantastic scene, maybe about like 30 minutes into the movie, that had the audience at the Princess of Wales Theatre in Toronto clapping at the end of his appearance. You had other roles. I mean, there's a fantastic cameo near the end of the film that I won't spoil. That just it cracked me up. Um, but outside of it just being about Spielberg's life, there's a lot of stuff about what making movies was like during that age, right? Like the movie shows that like one of the big movies that he was taken to is the greatest show on earth, and how he was inspired by that movie to make his own films, and later how he was inspired by movies like The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and wanted to make his westerns and what have you. And the movie really focuses on Spielberg's life up until he works on Hogan's Heroes. Not really his film career at all. So it's mostly about his youth. But I really thought like these movies can be so easy to be corny, right? And like, who needs to make these? There's so many of them, right? It's this idea that directors are making movies about their childhood now. We saw it with Belfast, we saw it with Roma, and now we're seeing it with Spielberg and with the Fablemans. So there could be an argument like, did we really need a movie like this? And sure, maybe we didn't, but at the heart of it, it's just other than the filmmaking history, it's a family drama. And Michelle Williams has the role of a lifetime as Steven Spielberg's mother, and she really goes for it all, and she's wonderful in the movie. It's funny to say the word like magical, because I mean, like, some of Steven Spielberg's movies certainly feel magical. I feel that way about Raiders of the Lost Ark and Jaws and Close Encounters of the Third Kind for sure. But I think Fablemans is up there as well. It's a really good movie. Probably my favorite of the festival outside of Women Talking, and I think a lot of people will be talking about it. And it's an easy prediction for TIFF's People's Choice Award. I'm recording this before that's announced, but I think the Fablemans has that in the bag. Well, all right. That has been another 4 films reviewed from the Toronto International Film Festival. I hope you've enjoyed them. As always, if you want to follow the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter at It's The Pick Pod. I'm at MH Colville on Twitter. You can follow our Instagram, Letterboxd, YouTube page, what have you. You can see what we've been watching and subscribe to the podcast there. Give us a review on Apple if you could, and 5 stars. Leave us a review. Help us get to more ears. Written versions of these dispatches will arrive on the newsletter, so make sure you're subscribed to that. And if you prefer written reviews, they'll be there as well. I'm going to add this into other dispatches, but we are planning a TIFF wrap-up as well with another podcast guest, and hopefully have that up too. All right, stay tuned for the next part. Thanks. Bye.